another video, and I'm going to be reading another Reddit no sleep story, and I really enjoy these, so I'm really happy to be back. Kind of freaked out because I'm home by myself except for my landlord who lives upstairs. I can hear her walking around a bit. So I'm just gonna get right into reading the story, and I hope you all enjoy it. This week's story is titled, "Today I found out what happened to my mother 13 years ago." Dear Jason, I met my wife, your mother, one day by pure chance. I was out riding my bike and she happened to be at the park I frequented. The memory for me is so clear. Her auburn hair caught brilliantly in the sunshine to give her a golden halo as a light breeze lifted the individual strands away from her face ever so delicately. In one hand, she held a takeaway coffee cup, and on her lap was a sleek computer. She was studying on her lunch break, I'm sure. Though, for what? I never had a chance to ask. Instead, I found myself crashing headlong into a small shrub. And it was that shrub that bashed the magic of all romance movies into me. Suddenly, I just knew we were meant to be. In that moment, as I went over the handlebars with twiggy branches scratching against my helmet and leaves invading my mouth, that we were destined to be together. In the weeks following our first interaction, our relationship blossomed. Every day, I would wait for her in the park, and she was never late. I learned where her favorite coffee shop was, her favorite food and flowers. She was a shy girl, and I noticed that when we would go through crowds that she'd often glance over her shoulders and keep to the sides, avoiding the masses. A cute quirk, I thought. However, with time, I saw her change. She seemed sad. You see, I made a mistake. I accidentally made her feel unloved. It was just one day that it happened, but it had a big impact. I left a note with her usual coffee order when my work kept me back, and only said, "Hey beautiful, sorry I can't make it today. Work is going to have extended hours today." And from then on, she grew distant. No longer visiting her favorite places, she was even late for a couple of our dates. And it was all because I forgot to say, "I love you," at the end of my memo. There was only one thing I could do then, only one way to prove my affection. Ask her to move in with me. She was, to my delight, completely elated with my proposal. On the very first day, she ran all around the house, checking all the rooms, making sure all the windows and doors locked securely, and inspecting every detail of our house. Of course, everything was perfect. What kind of man would I be if I didn't provide the best possible dwelling for my family? It was completely secure, a little isolated perhaps, but the views of nature were so beautiful that they brought tears to her eyes. We lived simple lives together. I worked and she was able to leave school in order to stay home and tend to the house. When she confessed to me one day that she was lonely, I decided it best to cut back on my hours at work in order to spend more time with her. None of her friends or family had contacted her since she moved in. We had the understanding that none of them approved of me and had cut her off completely for our relationship. That's when I got the idea that we should be married, to show everyone that we didn't care. Our love was above all. On the day we got married, my fiancé was even more beautiful than ever. Her hair was done up in neat loose curls, and her white dress flowed as elegantly as 1,000 swans. The ceremony was a small one. I arranged all the legal documents and got the video recording of a priest to marry us. Your mother, bless her heart, cried the whole time. Tears streamed down her cheeks, and she was so choked up she couldn't even manage to say our vows. Thankfully, I knew all her intentions. I even helped her sign the documents. The only thing that could have made the day better was if her family had been able to attend. It was a shame, but I suppose you can't have everything. You, our first and only child, were born exactly 9.5 months after our marriage. It was a home birth. You were a beautiful little boy, and your mother handled it spectacularly. We named you Jason, and you were the apple of her eye. It was as if you were the breath of fresh air that she needed. We were a complete family. Now, I'm telling you all of this because it has been 5 years since then, and life has taken an unexpected twist. I have been diagnosed with cancer. I won't go into too many details, but it is an aggressive, fast-acting cancer, which means I have at best only a few weeks left at the time of writing. That is why I decided that your mother and I are going to go together. It is a horrible thing for a husband to leave his wife, and knowing how dearly your mother loves me, so I will not leave her. She will be coming with me. I hope someday you can understand. Best of luck with the future. Your father, Harold. It's my 18th birthday, and this was the letter I was given earlier today. It has horrified and disgusted me for so many reasons I can hardly put into words. To begin to explain, when I was 5 years old, a call was placed to a cleaning service which came to a secluded residence to find me alone and abandoned in the farmhouse. It was a wonder I didn't die. I had been left alone for nearly 2 days, or so they estimated. My mother, Allison Baker, was a missing person from the time she was 20. She had suspected someone was stalking her and filed a police report after getting a strange note with her coffee order just days before her disappearance. But at that time, there was no definitive suspect, and no crime having been committed. Nothing came of it. Meanwhile, my father, Harold Dyer, a 35-year-old man, had kidnapped her and kept her prisoner for years. My parents were also found that day in a homemade coffin, both having suffocated to death over several hours. My father entombed my mother, and she spent her final hours struggling to breathe, trapped with a man I'm sure she hated as much as I hate him after reading his letter. Up until today, I had always wondered about my real parents. My grandmother, my grandfather, have taken great care of me since I was awarded to them. But they never spoke about my parents, never spoke about my mother, their daughter. Now, I know everything, but what bothers me the most is knowing how my mother died. My grandparents told me that inside of her tomb showed that she fought death until her nails splintered and bled against the wood of her coffin. I think that was a detail I could have been spared. Wow, I knew there was something strange right from the beginning. I had a feeling that that guy was going to kidnap the lady, and I don't know, I had this instinct, especially after reading so many of these and listening to them and like really understanding true crime and all that stuff, but it was still really good. It still kind of kept me on like the edge of my seat and wanting me to read it, and like, I mean, obviously I was gonna read it. I personally find missing persons cases really interesting, and I love it when they're able to be solved, whether it's because the person has been found dead or alive or whatever. I just think they're very interesting and show that it is possible to find someone who has gone missing, even if they are in these super dire circumstances and you don't know where they've gone. But this story was good. I mean, it shows that she was found even after she had gone missing, and now her son knows what happened to her as well. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this story as much as I did, and if there is a specific story that you'd like to see me read in the future, please let me know down in the comments below, and I will definitely make sure to give it to check it out. But I think that's all I have for you guys today, so until next time, bye.